Hello, everybody. This is James Diboe, discovered dedicated to original peoples. As always, we've got a special guest on. This is the third time he's been on. Also a podcast himself. Does many things. Promoting Ancestral Essence. So allow me to interview Edison Agbandje. I struggle with these names.
Edison, don't worry about it. It's Edison Agbandje.
Agbandje. Yeah. How you doing, my brother? Anyway.
I'm very, very good. Very, very good. Looking forward to it. It's always a pleasure with yourself because I appreciate what you're doing and I appreciate how you're calling all these different people from different walks in this conscious world to come and speak. It's a great library you're connecting. And literally, that's going to be something down the road that people are going to come to and say, wow, he got all that information there. So fantastic, brother. Keep
Yeah,
going.
appreciate that, brother. Just trying to reach out and continuing the mission. That's what it's really about, and then along the way, I'm meeting all sorts of different types of people, some professors from different internationally, so this is what it's about, and gets me more into it because it kind of fits into the line of work I've been doing anyway, where I've been but traveling, before, it's traveling and meeting different people, tribals, chiefs, and all sorts of different type of people. So, yeah, but interesting, let me to have you back on. We had some good discussions last time. um,
Good.
and I wanted to follow up on some of the stuff,
No problem. I look
Yeah.
forward to it.
So the background, Nigerian background, isn't it?
Well, born in England, but parents of Nigerian descent.
Yeah,
Essentially, even though I was born here, how
yeah,
do you say my blood is from there?
yeah,
So
man.
the connection to my ancestors, connection to the land is still within my bones.
That's right.
But
Well, I
regard
connected the Ijaw people, Delta State. You know,
exactly.
are you Yoruba or?
Orobo, Orobo,
Oh,
Delta,
okay.
we're
Yeah.
Delta State as well. So
Oh,
yeah,
Delta State as well.
Delta State, yeah.
You know what? That rings a bell, that name, because Ijaw's on the father line, like my dad's father, but on his me great grandmother, that rings a bell, that tribe. Yeah, and I know that they're from the Delta. So, but sometimes people focus on the father line too much. You know what I'm saying? So we all sort to either probably even Yoruba down the line, there's Igbo
Yeah,
probably down the line.
all of
So
it. All of them have mixed together. All of them, I have probably all of them in my bloodline. So
yeah,
I don't, it's the one that the language my parents spoke, but being from that part of the world, they had marriage, intermarriages, all different places
definitely. Yeah,
traveled from. So there's a bit of everything, but the label is just a label for a language. Yeah, the
that's right.
blood doesn't speak any language.
Yeah,
So the
right.
blood runs through all of us, the connection to all the different things that they are and, who they've been and what they've thought and what realities they come from. That's all part of our blood and part of our understanding if we can allow our mind to accept such things.
Yeah. So when you first started Ancestral Essence, tell us a little bit about it, like how you got into Ancestral Essence, and also give us a little rundown on what you've been up to late as of late.
Okay, Ancestral Essence was essentially the brainchild of me and a friend that is now passed. We both had the capacity to speak to our ancestors, and we wanted to find a way that we can put it out to the masses and teach them a way in which they can communicate with the conversations and thoughts within their mind. So it was started initially as just blogs on Facebook, but then we essentially came together and created Ancestral Essence as a way to literally, I won't say commercially, that wasn't the initial interest. It was really just a way as finding out a structure in which someone that said, all right, I'm leaving Christianity or I'm interested in spirituality, they could come to our website, find initially blogs, but we also offered services of where We can help you connect to your ancestors, show you the process in which to make that move within your mind so you can start to expand it. We had courses that literally enable you to, three different stages of courses. The first one would just be connection, learning how to speak your language. The second one would be how to communicate with your ancestors, create ancestral councils so you can sit amongst them and they can all speak to you and teach you about different realities and teach you also how to be able to hear people's thoughts, because people expand their thoughts. We are broadcasting our words when we communicate, and we are broadcasting our presence. And everyone has the capacity to decode your energy and put it into images in your mind. This is where we've come forward. We're no longer in the state of the way in which we've been given life. We accept it, we appreciate it. As science will back us up, that essentially you now create life inside your mind. When we say you're the God, we can tell you how and how you do it and how you become and how you use your understanding to change what you see inside your mind. So we've come a long way trying to actually enable people that say they want to evolve, make themselves more empowered. We're now no longer just speaking of it as the term, we're actually going behind and showing you how you do it. So we have courses, we also have counseling sessions, because we realize now most people come into spirituality do so because they have problems or issues in their life that they want to come to terms with, that they hope spirituality can fix. It can. However, it's not like religion where we're going to pray your things away. We're literally going to show you mechanically how in your mind you create your issues, where these things come from, and how you can start to overcome them. So we're not just sitting down on the concept of, I'm going to tell you that you're this and not explain how you fix it. And then
Interesting.
yeah, because it's just nowadays, many people are browned off with the whole concept of the spirituality, because it can be almost an extended version of religion, where people are now just looking for different gods to pray to, and then still hoping the gods are going to come and take everything away. We found that it doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're looking to go beyond that and say, okay, where in your mind do you have certain memories that are keeping you locked within the idea of yourself? So we're
Yeah.
pushing those concepts now. We also have every bi-weekly a membership zone class where effectively we cover all these different subjects. We did one yesterday talking about the memory and how the memory is really something which is a ongoing, updated idea of who you are, and how your memory, especially things like what science would call hippocampus, is really just your Google. Whenever you have a thought, this is the thing that searches within the databases of your memory and brings that information to your mind in various different forms, and how the mind is actually constructed so that you can actually start to find out why you behave in a certain way, why you're locked in a certain thought, why you're unable to move, why you have no energy to do anything, and start to come into those concepts and explain them. That's what we do in the membership zone. The deeper perspective of going into connecting to your ancestors, as in not just connecting, speaking to them, communicating with them, and how they operate within your own mind every single day. This isn't some of those abstract concepts where people look for another thing to pray to. This is something which we can actually show you in your mind how you communicate, what part of your mind actually deals with just pure repetition logic, and the other part of your mind that receives that information and converts it with the help of your ancestors to be able to actually bring you into alignment within yourself. So again, we have counseling that does that. So on our website, one-stop shop for all of those different things. So we now literally every day, there's no day we're not trying to improve. This isn't a stagnant thing where you get to a point where you sit there and say, yep, I know all the answers. No, we're literally communicating with ancestors, communicating with scientists, communicating with wherever we can find the information to tweak it so it becomes that much more digestible.
Yeah,
So yeah.
because interesting. Like, I mean, a lot of these YouTube channels now, and also you can go on the internet and you get a lot of people from the West, not even like traditional backgrounds at all. And you got like books like The Secret, for example, speak about manifesting. You know, you've got a lot of these so-called psychics that where they might have just went on a holiday to India and then learned something. You know,
Yeah.
they spoke to a monk, and then next minute they're setting up a course and this and. But it's the ancestors being within you. You know, it's a lot more deeper. So we know about Nigeria, like I know the parts of Africa, but we could talk about Kemet and
Hmm.
all these practices and a lot of what you're speaking about. They were all there, and they're
Of
still
course.
there, but they're
Yeah.
not like as popular because of Christianity, Islam, and whatever else. You
Hmm.
know, so now when you speak to some people of the religions of like say Abrahamic religions, particularly because I'm just fairly blatant when I have discussions with people. Well speak on what I believe, and they can speak on what they believe, and you know, each of their own. So when they say, "Oh well, if you speak into your ancestors, then that's like demonized, like
Of
sort of
course.
like
Of course.
you're speaking to the jinns, so you're speaking
Yeah,
to these
yeah,
bad spirits, and
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
calling on the wrong peoples, and it's just like, well, you know what? If you have the religion and you're happy with your religion, just leave it as that. But when you start looking at other people and saying that they're doing um, sorcery and it's bad and you know it's gets annoying sometimes, you know. So allow me to be me, allow you to be you, you know,
Exactly.
because there's billions of them, you know. So
Yeah, it's how do you say? Everyone came through a system,
yeah,
education. And part of the education system was to rob you of parts of yourself. Yeah, essentially, what do they say? That we would got initiated into the school of or of the church, the Orthodox Church of materialism. They didn't care whether you believed in any religion, as
yeah,
long as you believed in the concept of money, as
yeah,
long as you saw yourself of value based on how much money you had, and you deferred to people that had money and basically worship those people that created money.
yeah,
So as long as you fell into that situation, they were good. They were very much focused on part of your mind, the creative part of your mind, being shut down and put into a box where instead of you elevating yourself to what you are capable of, you only elevated yourself into those religions. You only elevated yourself, those gods, those concepts. We call them, because we did a whole class of gods of the matrix, the concept of the gods of the matrix can only provide you things in the matrix.
yeah,
They
yeah,
can't extend your understanding beyond this reality, which speaks to a much deeper block in people's minds where they effectively only pray for what they can envisage in their mind.
yeah,
When you understand how the mind actually creates images, that what we're looking at is not the world is taking place inside of us. So many people are just praying for a more peaceful mind. They're
yeah,
more praying for the argument within themselves to stop. And what they refer to as real can only be created within themselves. There's so much that hasn't been shown to people. People are really walking in the dark, in the blind, in a fantasy created by those who know how people create images in their mind, how they actually process reality. So these guys have basically got you from a school age, taught you how to create the images that you see in your mind. And now you're only looking at the fantasy and the limitations that they gave to you. Their religions are perfect ways in which to stunt you from being able to connect to the right side or right hemisphere of your brain, which is the creative part, which connects you to all your ancestors, which connects you to the deeper aspects of yourself. That has been almost shut off, and you're focused on survival, on making the money, and being, unfortunately, as a result of the left brain not being able to love, not being able to really come to any conclusion outside of its own fear of it. So we're stuck in a situation where we're taught to fear ourselves by being locked in the hemisphere of our brain, which doesn't have the capacity to think for itself and constantly needs people to give instructions, religious instructions, educational instructions, job instructions, what have you, in order to be able to find some sort of value for itself.
So there's a lot of ways we're being dumbed down. Doesn't matter through religion, doesn't matter through the educational system. And also nowadays we've got, like they say, Western science is slowly trying to catch up.
Totally.
Yeah. So for example, the five sense reality, what they deal with, and you know, they don't focus too much on intuition, so
That's right-brained. They're not
yeah.
supposed to teach you about that.
Yeah, so anything, they'll call that pseudo whatever, but just the five senses, that's what they're dealing with. So when we deal with the ancestors, all this knowledge is with them. And that's why, when I try to look at different places in the world as well that kind of deal with some sort of knowledge, whether it's India,
Yeah.
whether it's ancient, what else? Even like a lot of indigenous groups around the world, different places.
Brazil,
Yeah,
everywhere.
that's
Most
right.
of
Yeah,
the worlds were indigenous once upon a time themselves and
yeah,
had these same things. You look at the word vicar, it's near to the word Wicca. It's
mhm,
just they've literally changed the W to a V, and all
yeah,
of a sudden the same religion is based on the ancient religions and the what they would call shamanic religions of this
yeah.
and
Shamanic.
of Europe as well. The same thing. It's just that I don't know. We speak of colonizers, but the greatest colonizers were the modern religions because
Yeah,
they killed anyone who went against their religion. And so in the end, it appeared after generations that the blood of their hands was wiped clean because the new children only knew the good stories. They
yeah,
didn't know their history. Anyone that knows their history beyond what they've been told at school or what they've been told in the church will realize how this world has been put together. And they've been comfortable in people's ignorance.
yeah,
So yeah, everyone around the world used to worship their ancestors. The Chinese, even in this country, look, why do people put paintings on the walls of all their ancestors? If they didn't find that there was some reverence in there, even in the language, or my ancestor would turn in their grave. Yeah,
yeah.
because they still knew that they were trying to make them proud. So that is, inside of us. We know it, but sometimes different politics take over the way in which the world is allowed to see itself.
So, what's your view on the God concept? Like, for example, as far as indigenous beliefs, like it doesn't, not like the Abrahamic religions. I mean, I more use the word creator, for example, and I don't make any likeness. I wouldn't even say it looks like this or looks like that. It's
Mhm.
just it's just what it does, nature. So just wondering what your views are on the creator as far as its creation.
You see, here we go on the paradigm of what does the creator create that we recognize as creation? I say that because they will tell you that literally go into any science book they used to teach you at school, but you didn't realize that all that comes into our eyes are just different wavelengths of light. And our mind in our retina, in the back of our eyes, in our cones, in our rods, is what creates color to this information. Red is high wavelength, blue is low wavelength of light. Our mind is the one that constructs the colors, sends it into our brain, passes it through our body, all the fear mechanisms and traumas and everything. And at the end of all of the different conversations we have within the different nervous systems, amygdala, hippocampus, hypothalamus, all those different things, pituitary gland, once all those things have had a conversation, then a report is created. And what we see is the report from our body actually giving us all the different criteria. Should we be scared? Should we be angry? Should we go into a fear response? All this information is processed before we see one thing. All your mind is trying to do is warn you of the environment you're in and whether you should be cautious in it. So once you understand all of that, you realize that what you see as reality has been created by you. Another person who doesn't have the fear that you have will then process a different image because the image that they create is not reality. It's just a report or the best guess of what your conscious mind, well, not conscious mind, body mind actually thinks, or the left side of your brain actually thinks, passes it across to the right side of your brain, which animates it, which discusses it, which brings reason to it. Because the left side of your brain doesn't reason, it just produces, and it more deals with rationale than it does with reason. So most of us are stuck in a place where in our left side of our brain, we're stuck in fear, survival, the ability to be able to not the ability to love, but the ability to use people, work out how can we get the best out of this person, this situation. It's the one that makes us irritable, makes us angry. We don't move into the rational part of our mind to look at the history of a person and say, where did that come from? Why are they behaving like this? You'll see someone in a conversation seesaw from right brain to left brain, from right brain to left brain, each time either becoming unable to understand the conversation, unable to communicate till you calm the person down. Then all of a sudden they can reason with you. Oh, yeah, I understand that. But part of the conversation they couldn't. So all these different sciences from that point of view is not the stuff that we're familiarized with. We're sort
Yeah,
of follow our fear, be in a state of survival, not look for answers within ourselves. I say all of that because the God per se, if that's the one that creates the image in your mind, that's you.
yeah,
The one that creates the judgment is you. Based on the different things you've been through, you judge information coming into your mind in different ways. So not only do you create the image, you create the judgment, you pass it to a higher mind within yourself, the right side, that rationalizing. That's the side that has the connection to the ancestors because it's not restricted by only what it sees. It's the one that makes sense of what it sees. In any given moment, you're in the present because that's the present report that you have. You notice that you can't make sense of anything in the present. You're just here. It's not till 10 minutes later that a version of yourself has reasoned with that information. Can you then comment on what just took place? See, we've always been that God that we see. The only difference is we're now praying to a God or praying to a concept to make the image that we create in our mind look better. That's
yeah.
all. Yeah. So
So,
the
so it's more about awareness.
thank you. That's the word.
Yeah. So awareness. If you are on a low vibrational state, and maybe it's a bad day, or situations came up and you don't know, it's caught you off guard, and you react. Someone could even say something to you, and without thinking, you just automatically react. And if your reaction is a sad reaction, or you've got upset about something, then you take on this belief. So once you take on that belief, then it automatically leads to a low vibrational state. Whereas if you're in a happy mood, everything going well, it seems like the ball's rolling for you. You'd automatically feel like in a high vibrational state.
Thank
So
you.
it's kind of like how you choose to react to something is going to determine the outcome of um, your mental or spiritual state of mind. You know, so most definitely, it's interesting how you put it like that, and it's interesting the techniques and that. Now, like I
Mm,
said before, you
mm.
got like books like The Secret. I'm sure you've heard that book.
Of course, the law of
Yeah,
attraction and all
yeah.
that.
So, do you see that book as like it's quite exact, or is it something that's like, well, what they've done is they've took knowledge of the ancients, and I don't know if you feel they put their spin on it. Sort of like, I mean, there's many people like this. I'm seeing all sorts of people bringing out books now. I
Of
see
course.
all sorts of different channels coming out, and obviously, most people like if you go back to even some of the people who are bringing books out, like even in the before even the 60s, the 70s, or even going back before that, some of these very popular people that we've heard about, even if it was Einstein,
Mm.
even if it was let's see, I forgot, can't even say the name. Um, the old lady who was a
Yes.
mystic.
Oh, the old lady. Go ahead. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Um, I can't remember it. And then also another person, Alyssa Crowley, for
Oh, yeah.
example. Yeah, there's a
Right.
lot of these type of people now. I know that they had to go to particular places, whether it was Egypt, India to learn, or Tibet, or certain other places,
Yeah.
in order to get this knowledge, because they wouldn't have had it by themselves, you know. I
It's
mean,
a
not saying that they can't have it by themselves, but they all seem to have gone to these particular places.
they have. I'm sure they have. In
Yeah,
honesty, we don't know what is buried in the Vatican.
true.
So,
Yeah, that good point. Yeah.
uh, as regards to going to these different places, those countries are based, those traditions are often not based in a war type mentality or possession type mentality. Indians are not that way, are they really? I know Hindu has many different gods to do different things,
Yeah,
but essentially it's always about the development of yourself,
that's right. Yeah.
not the development of your environment. What do they say? All is Maya, all is a dream. Yeah, and the Confucius said, with our words, we create our world. All of those different places were mindful of the fact that you were creating reality within yourself. Yeah. And so were those different famous people connected to themselves? They really just connected to the right side of their brain, which has angles and has connections to much deeper realities. When you sleep or when you're awake, they say it's two-thirds of your brain are connected to the left side of your brain. When you're asleep, two-thirds of your brain are connected to the right side of your brain. So the different blood that is used, this is why when people start their spiritual journeys, they tend to have headaches on the right side of their brain, because that's the side that connects them to different dimensions and different places. We have a way in which you can speak to those ancestors that have come before you, that in a way in which they can teach you how to actually connect to mysteries beyond this world, to understandings that you can't find in any books, and start to speak of things in a way that is coming from a different dimension within yourself. This is where the originals, the proper Babalaos, the proper spiritual men, all they were doing when they were looking for their remedies, and the women, because let's not mess about. The women were extremely powerful, and they had connections to energies beyond this world. So the whole thing was really accessing that part of your mind, the right side that can channel details, can break down information in such a way in which they can actually speak of things to come in the future, because life isn't basically, we travel through life. Life doesn't happen to us, it happens through us. It's almost like you have a script, and every day you're in your own movie, following your script, trying to visualize and create so many different things around you. So we're in a situation where once you can get to that part of yourself, you're no longer relying on books. You're no longer relying on script. You're relying on source. and the source is you, within you, to bring that information down and to be able to articulate it. Because there's one thing of bringing it into your mind, because all it is energy. Your mind is the thing that creates sound waves into sound inside your mind. And from when
Yeah.
you've created it, you can then hear, okay, what did they say? What did the ancestors say? What did you conceive? Because remember, you're an ancestor too. You're just an ancestor that has lived other lives on this lifetime. And
Yeah.
you've now decided to come back and probably pick up where you left off and fix what you messed up the last time you were here.
It's just like it's interesting that past lives and stuff, and it's not like, for example, I could remember me past life, but some things that you maybe come across in life, it's like it's like you've already, it looked familiar, something looked familiar to you, like, whether or not you've seen it in this lifetime, or there's just some things that like ring bells, and you think, well, how would I know to connect with that? Or so it's interesting, like it is.
I'll be honest with you, James. If you left me with 20 minutes, we could have you seeing your past lives like it's nothing. It's nothing. Once you understand the procedure of how you connect to that part of yourself within your mind, you'll be seeing past lives, you'll be seeing yourself in different genders, different races, as they call them, different times. You'll be able to see all of it. All of it is there inside you. This is why I said that our aim is really to empower you with all the things that you're capable of. It's not that us that have the magic. We're just reminding you that you have the magic in doing that. So once you can do that, you eliminate the concern. If someone has an issue where they said, I've lived this life, I've never caused anyone any problems, but I seem to be having this tough time, then the first thing is like, okay, you haven't done it. You sure? Yeah. Okay, well, let's take you to the past life where you may have done something. Let your ancestors take you to the place where you're going to go to that lifetime, see how you interacted with people that you have in your life right now, see if they were there, see how you treated them, and see now what you've come to balance in this lifetime. So this
Yeah,
is not a hard meditation. I could show you in no time. It's things that we did on our courses. It really is a case of, our people died from what? Lack of knowledge. And
definitely.
and now because religion has generated fear of doing anything for yourself, by yourself, as yourself, and without going through their mediums or their ideas, people are stuck waiting for a God that they can't find, in a place that they can't find, with a voice they can't hear, and they're waiting for that concept to come and save them. And they can spend their whole life until the day that they die waiting for this thing and wonder why it never arrives. It didn't exist out of someone creating it.
Yeah, interesting. Well, it's about what you can do for yourself, isn't it? Rather than look outside of yourself. And funny enough, you said about spiritual awakening before. Now, many times I'll get headaches on one side, and then sometimes, and I watch a lot of different things and read a lot of different things, and it's kind of like it's not coincidence. It's like, well, it's that, like I was saying before, about your state of mind, your state of being. So there's times where, like, you can look at one day where you
Mm.
feel so great, everything's smooth and everything's going your way as you're planning it. And I wouldn't even say planning it. It's pretty much like planning something in your mind, and you're focused, you're really
Yes.
focused. Then there's times you are totally unfocused.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's like, well, it's like two different people you'd almost deal with. But obviously it's the right side and the left side of the brain.
At two different people. They literally are two
Yeah,
different people. One focuses on, what, can we get this done? How do we do this? But it's
yeah,
always waiting for instruction. And the other one basically is the one that is telling them, this is how you do it. We've heard from here, we heard from there. Let's calm ourselves down. Let's not be angry. Let's be at peace, because we know that in anger, the reflection of being upset is that you poisoned your body, and then your body reflects what has happened within it. So you're
Yeah.
poisoning yourself by being angry. You're hurting yourself as much as you think you're making a point to someone else. You know, the old three fingers pointing back at you. You're poisoning yourself to be able to harm that other person,
Yeah.
whatever reflection you show. So yeah, this is where we are. We're angry often because our right brain is telling our left brain, you've got some issues. You've got some memories that need to be cleared up. You've
Yeah.
got some thoughts and feelings that you haven't resolved. It's poisoning our body, which is your body. So therefore, we need to find a way to resolve that situation. Now, you could be lazy, or not lazy, you do what you know, and you find someone else. You find someone else and say, you know what, I'm going to put all the responsibility of all the things I haven't resolved onto you. I'm going to literally, instead of me fixing myself, I'm going to literally tell you all the things that you're not doing to make me feel better. And as
Yeah.
soon as that person fails and they can't do it anymore, they say, we're going to have to leave this relationship because you're not doing enough to help me forget the past that I can't resolve.
That's it. You know, working
Yeah.
on yourself. Sometimes it's like I notice like where I cook, I cook a lot, chefing.
Cool.
So I notice times when I'm in a really great mood, my food comes out excellent sometimes, and then times where I'm just not like either in the mood or maybe I'm not really putting as much effort into something but it's like someone I was watching the other day was interesting, was saying that, say like for example you're in a restaurant or whatever, say don't upset the chef.
100%.
Yeah, not just for the fact only that they could do something to the food, but don't upset them for the fact of the energy that they're going to carry. That negative energy can affect the food. Like it was really deep, and I was like, "Wow, this is serious." But to some people, that's a bit too much. You
I,
know what I
t-
mean? But I definitely can see like, well, some people can see it as well.
I,
It's
be,
forces, it's
I tell you what,
spirits, it's energy. So energy, you start messing with bad energy, that bad energy can come back and haunt you.
James, is something you've said there where what we teach when we do our classes and courses is after a while, once you've learned to do your language and everything like that, you can literally, before you eat anything, when you go out, you literally put your hands above the food and you recharge the food. You speak in your thoughts, speak in your language, take that energy that's coming out of the palms of your hands to rearrange the energy that was put into the food. Imagine if someone just had sex or they were angry or they're annoyed, they broadcast that not just as an image in their mind, but the image is a frequency of light they generate, and that frequency of light goes into the food. So
Yeah,
therefore, your body no longer has any sort of protection. All of us are walking around with a high vibration force field or a low vibration force field. But when you're eating food, you bypass all your force fields and you're literally directing, putting someone else's energy into your mouth. There was women, I know women that have literally, when they're very annoyed and very angry, they'll turn around and say, let's get takeaway today because I'm so angry and I know I will end up putting that anger in the food that I'm cooking.
yeah,
Yeah, and we go back to mama's cooking. Why do we go back to mom's cooking? Because mom cooks the food with love.
that's
And when
right.
she
Loving the
cooks
food.
that love is infused into the food. So it's not that the food tastes the best, even though all of us will say our moms are the best cook, but it's the mindset that she used cooking it. And that mindset and that vibration you've had all the way through your life. So you could be going through whatever and you go back to her, she cooks, and that connects you with that better time, with those better feelings and that better energy. It's almost like medicine just because of the love that she's put into the food. while she's making it. So no, every time we go out, I look up food, I have to pray on it first before I consume it, because I don't know the mindsets of the people that will cook in it. And even worse is when you go to a fast food
Careful.
place
Yeah,
where the people that are not paid very much,
yeah,
and they're pondering their life and what they're going through, and that frequency is going into the food as well,
yeah,
which will impact you in your stomach. You'll feel sick, you'll feel headaches, you'll feel tired, you'll feel whatever that person who is cooking for you is feeling whilst they're cooking the food. So 100%, don't let your food just take it straight away, just consume it, because you're just like someone who's gone into a dark room and is sitting down chilling, not knowing what's in the room and what could attack them at any moment. You basically blinded yourself to feed yourself. So no, you literally do have to. And that's why people initially did that whole thing. Let's pray over the food before we eat it. I appreciate they're doing it within their religious spectrum, and that will work as far as they believe in the religion. But there are ways you can be direct with the food, as in you're speaking to the food in its own language, which you know, because the fact that you can see the food or see anything, you must speak the language of what that energy is made of to be able to construct it as a visual image. So if you see a potato, it's because you know the language of the potato, because it's a visual language as well as an audio language. Everything is there within you, just waiting for you to express it. You have it there. It's funny, when I say you're going to teach someone their language, which is something we do, I don't teach you it. I just remind you you can speak it. And within no time at all, you're speaking within your language, your ancient, your body language, not the language that someone told you French this. No, your body doesn't speak in French. It learns French. It doesn't speak in English. It learns English, Spanish, German. These are foreign ideas that have also impacted you restrictively as well. Because when you speak a language that's not your own, you can only see the words in which the language has. So
that's
if you've
right.
been
Yeah,
to indigenous places, you know that in their languages, they have things that we can't see because their language has a word for that thing. And we don't have a word for that thing. So our mind in the creation of the image will not create that image.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like code, like a lot of indigenous people's like indigenous languages, like codes, like to
Mm,
the through to the universe. It's like
thank you.
time travel, for example. Time travel is an interesting
Mm,
one.
yeah.
Now, I'm aware of certain things, like and certain places I've even gone myself before I've actually reached the destination, where it's like not the fact of being psychic, but it's like some things like you've it's like a certain type of energy carrying,
Of course.
and you end up meeting certain types of people when you've traveled different places, and it's just like, well, this just all just fell into place quite perfectly. And something you say, well, I don't think these are by accidents. Some of the peoples that you've met in life, some of the peoples that has really enlightened you, and
Yeah.
where like I wouldn't meet these, I wouldn't even if it wouldn't have went there at that time, that minute, whatever, it's unbelievable. And you can call it the secrets of the universe.
Mhm.
That's, I mean, why I say call it the secrets of the universe. This is something that was well known amongst indigenous peoples, but to the life that and the people we're amongst on a daily basis, whether you're going to work, whether you're going shopping somewhere, it doesn't matter what you're doing, it's just survival mode, like you said before. So survival, but also on a time span, don't be late for work, get
Yeah.
up at this time,
Program.
get to work, your dinner break, you finish work, and in between, people are just basically, just talk about general things and nothing, nothing too deep,
No.
so, and yeah, it is. It's a funny planet we're on, So it's been definitely taken over, hijacked. This planet's been hijacked in some sort of way,
Thank you.
vampire type of energy.
100%.
Because deep down, this is not.
How it's supposed to
This
be.
ain't supposed to be what's supposed to be going on.
No.
9 to 5 working, and also it's a bit different where if you were in some rainforest or you were in some sort of it's a village, and what would you be doing without a 9 to 5, for example? People would learn agriculture, or they'd have their own classes, what they're teaching, traditional knowledge, and also everything relates to it all has purpose. There's a
Yeah,
purpose to everything, whether you're
yeah,
connecting to nature, connecting to the trees, connecting to the water, just connecting to real
100%.
natural life. And the fact that we've been taken out of our environment for various reasons. And there's some people in the world that still try to live this particular way, but their peace is being disturbed. You could
100%.
live in the Amazon rainforest and as they're chopping the trees down, building roads, hotels, motorways, and then it's people are like so then people are like having to leave their environment, whether they go deeper into the forest and like it's like even the Maasai tribes I met, they live on the savannah
Mm,
and he was saying about the government's cut their land rights of hunting. So they're restricted now, and many other groups like I met the Veda people in Sri Lanka, and the forests are just shrinking and shrinking on them. So you're being automatically taken away from your natural environment. Now, some people might think, well, I'm going to stay in my natural environment as much as I can, even if I'm limited. But then you have people there that'll say, let me go and join the dominant society. Join the dominant society because you might have been, you might have seen people telling you, come into the cities or come and get a job, what I'm saying? So where your job really is in the environment that you're from. And it's not a case of I've got to go and work. Because most people when they go and hunt anyway, you'd be getting up like 5 in the morning. Now when I say 5 in the morning, not by a watch saying it's 5 in the morning, by the light.
exactly. All of a sudden, the first dawn, isn't it? As soon as you can see the light,
Yeah,
the day begins,
the
not
day
the
begins, day and night.
yeah, you don't want to. It's a weird thing, but that's all based on the god Nyx, or where you
Yeah,
get night from, the German goddess that started at 12 o'clock. Each day they worship that in the middle of the night, hence the day starts in the middle of the night. There's a lot of ritual to everything that we do around here.
yeah,
But there's something I'd love to go over, James, if what you just said there initially about people. We had a saying that I heard my ancestors say years ago where they said that your life is your journey and the people that you meet are your destinations.
yeah,
It's about the people. And as regards to them living in their environment, they are family with their environment. So when the trees are cut down, members of their family are cut down.
yeah,
The one thing when people look at a tree, their first thought is going to be, well, that's a tree. But the tree, well, not a jungle, but a forest is a community. Each tree is a living being on its own.
that's
You'll
right.
look at most trees and they just don't, or somewhere a beech will grow up straight, but many of them, you see them as congregations, 3 or 4 different roots coming out there because that's a cluster, that's a family of different beings coming from the same roots,
Yeah,
all alive, all thinking, all with the capacity to basically travel into different dimensions. Why is it that people take plant medicine to go on their journeys, their ayahuascas, the Iboga, all these different things are from plants, the plants themselves. If they couldn't travel to different dimensions, how can you travel by taking them?
yeah,
Human beings, we've got this very sedated idea of life. When we were educated, everything was given the same name. Look at the organs in your body. You've got a heart. I've got a heart. How can the hearts be called the same thing when we're both two different people, two different vibrations? Again, much of the things we show you is like, look, your heart. If you want to speak to your heart, call it by its real name. Don't call it by heart. It'll look at you like, whose heart?
Yeah.
Everyone. If you asked anyone, I'll say, what's your name? This is your name. So when I call your name, you're going to respond to me. If I call you Jack, when your name's James, you'll be carry on walking. You won't stop. You weren't triggered by a truism within yourself. So all these different organs, all these different trees, all these different forests, all these different environments were actually relatives of the people. They could go to the tree and ask the tree, what is it that you're going to do? How are plant medicines created if not being communicated with the actual plants, being able to see, okay, you do this, you do that, and the people that had the capacity to pick up the frequency from the plant and be able to communicate with the frequency of themselves. We have a saying that body talks to body and spirit speaks to spirit. So the
Yeah.
spirit of you can speak to the spirit of the tree. Both
That's
of
it.
you are invisible, but both of you are able to hear each other once you can shut down that barrier of you see it's a tree, it can't speak. So by your own definition, you kill that actual thing that you're looking at because you won't listen to what the tree is trying to say because you don't believe such a thing is possible.
Yeah. So you've limited that possibility out of your mind, not
Limited it
recognizing that it's a living being, has a soul or a spirit,
everything. I know
it
people
is.
think inanimate objects don't have a soul,
Yeah.
but they don't appreciate that this world is, how do you say, the African traditions will explain, especially Yoruba will come and tell you about how the Orishas came and they created every different, how do you say, a little Mari, the concept of God came and is a facilitator. It's that which allows you to be the God within yourself, for you to create your reality. So when the Orishas came, they speak of the story of how they created everything. Trees, one does the trees, one does the plants, one does the birds, one does the bees, one does all these different species of all these different things over thousands and thousands of years. Not 7 days as we've been had how you had a belief system incorporated in your time system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the concept of 7 days became our 7 days, even though the concept of 7 days is based on the five planets, the Jupiter, the Mars. You look on the Latin words for days of the week, they will reflect the five stars and the five planets. And then they will have the moon day, which is Monday, and Sunday, which is Sunday. So literally, the whole astrological belief system has now been turned into the days of the week. And then we know that turned into God made the world in 7 days or took a day to rest after the 6 days. And now our whole age, the way in which we view ourselves, are through this mythology that has been given to us as kids.
Yeah.
So you'll say you're so and so years old based on the mythology of the concept of God making 7 days, which obviously we appreciate that such a thing didn't exist. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you wouldn't have gone to the point of saying, I want to make X amount of thousands of insects. It takes more than a day, 24
Yeah.
hours to do that. Even if you did something every second, you couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Manifest a new one. And the logic of it doesn't fit in. But based on, how do you say, keeping everyone locked in a left mind mentality, the left mind doesn't think. It literally forms, it creates a load of different sections, and then it looks for instructions. If it has none, then it implodes on itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when you become irritated and angry because you can't connect to your higher mind to reason with you in your lower mind. So your lower mind does its own thing. It deregulates, it becomes annoyed, it becomes upset. And then now you're stuck in a situation where when your mind eventually comes back into balance, you've got some apologies to make. You
Yeah,
upset someone, you said something, and now someone is looking at you sideways because you couldn't control yourself frontways.
yeah, interesting. So, do you believe in reincarnation? Like, say when you pass, like we speaking about our
Yeah,
past lives and moving forward to, when the body finished and the spirit lives on. Um, we know that energy can't be created nor destroyed.
that's right.
So, do you see do you see it coming back as an ancestor, but it doesn't have to be human. Some of the Buddhists believe, that you could come back as a bee, a bird, but or do you see it like as you can come back to anything, whatever your energy decides to transform
Um,
to?
my perception is that there's a graduation. That every time, the first time you came in a more simplistic form. So you would have come as an insect. You may have come as a bee. You would have, your consciousness or your energy would have come through all the different stages of manifestations. When we've gone into past lives, we've seen that people have been bears before, they've been elephants before, they've been cows before, they've been different animals before. That whole DNA, that whole thing is in their memory bank. They can go to a past life where they can actually access that. So as your consciousness develops, you get into a situation, sorry about that, you get into a situation where you then become able to handle more sophisticated units, more
Yeah,
sophisticated avatars. So you go through the stage of being these things till you get to a human being, which is one of the most powerful avatars because it has the capacity to be able to separate itself and imagine different things. I know animals dream. Yeah, there's a whole thing that when we're looking, because we human beings don't realize our eyes are blinking. Do you ever see your eye, feel your eyes blink?
yeah.
You never do. You don't. Your eyes are darting around every 4 seconds. They're moving around. In every second, they're moving around 4 times. You see one continuous picture that doesn't deviate because you're not seeing. Your eyes are taking in information, passing it through your brain, creating the image after it's taken out all the emotions that appears continuous.
Yeah,
Unless you look in the mirror, you don't see your eyes darting about. You just see one image because you're seeing the past. You're seeing your creation. Yeah. So
yeah,
when it comes to the concept of reincarnation, all these different things, your consciousness will travel through all the different possibilities in this dimension. So once you, again, the whole concept of this is my last time, this is my last time. How do you know if this isn't, you've lived this life 3, 4 times, this same life? Because essentially all of this is just taking place inside your mind. The people, the situations, the scenarios, you could have done it 10 times for all you know. It's only time that makes you think things move in a linear fashion. When they don't, you'll travel back to whatever period or whatever dimension. Because even the story of the world, we know it's not correct. This isn't the year 2000 and something.
yeah,
The year 2000
yeah.
and what have you. We're literally looking at the time that the Christians have had control of the narrative.
That's it. All
And they
this
based it on,
BC and all that.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
all that crap, BC. Give
yeah,
me a who wrote down in those times, this is the year something something BC. Christ hadn't been born yet. So you wouldn't be defining time by an event that hasn't taken place.
yeah.
So
No, it is
yeah, uh,
man-made.
man-made. All of it is man-made. When you believe in history, it's like believing in religion. Did it really take place? Logically, that doesn't make sense. When you have the concept of a year didn't exist in the year 2000 or the time zero when Jesus, that wasn't until the Romans came. And basically, I think it
Yeah,
was 5th century before they created a concept of a year and the concept of a day and created all those different concepts 500 years after the beginning. So you can see some maths was done economical at that time to say, all right, let's call this year 500 and something, and let's say we've been here for 500 years when you was using a total different time frame. because it
Yeah.
never used to be AD. It would be Anni Mundi. Was it Anni Domini? It was something else. So people just need to go back a little further. And before they know, they're going to see that this has been a lie built on a lie, or many lies of many
Yeah.
different people.
Yeah.
So,
Because it's funny, like with it, because I was going to actually ask you a question on the beginning. I want to say the beginning of what they call humanity, beginning of humanity on this planet. Now, we get a lot of interference of like we came from this common ancestor, and taking us back to the water, but like reptiles at one time, this and that. So it cuts us off. It cuts us off of from this physical as we know it. So when we say the beginning now is now when I listen to some of the ancestors and some of the indigenous peoples, what's interesting is we were always here,
thank you.
but not in this physical. So whether it was higher dimensions, whatever that is, or then at some point, possibly the ingredients that are on this planet, whether it was water, other things that formed this physical, rather than actually, because it's spirit one thing, and that's like what people don't see, but it's there. But then you need the body to go with it. So a body would have to be created from whether the Egyptians talk about stardust, example. They also talked about say noon in the beginning, and then when coming out the waters and this and that. And then we have 70% of our body's water or something like that. And so there's a lot of ingredients in our body from this planet. Now the spirit is something completely different, but it's all one. But all it's one is in connected. You can't have one without the other.
It works as one
It works
because
as one.
if you ever went to a funeral parlor or meet someone that you've passed, that you know has passed, the one thing you can see in them that is their essence is gone. Yeah, you can look at them and there's no animation. There's no essence that is there moving. The body is stiff. You pretty quickly see, okay, nobody's there. You don't feel no resonance of the body because the consciousness that was animating it has gone. We were always the consciousness. The you is the invisible part that's using the avatar to communicate with. But it's not you. If I'm talking to you and you say, okay, who am I? You're going to give me a memory or collection of memories. Someone once called me this name. So therefore, I refer to myself as this name. I traveled in this place. I went to this school. You're just going to recite to me a load of events in your memory that you've collated, and you put them in a sequence of a story, and now you refer to that as your life. But you're the one, the continuous, the one who's traveling through everything. Your body is changing. Everything is changing, but you, the consciousness, will be the one that at the end will leave. If you remember, did you ever see a film called 7 Pounds, a Will Smith film?
No, no.
Okay, well, Will Smith did this movie, 7 Pounds. And in the movie, it was very strange because he was, how do you say, philanthropist. He was just giving people money, working out ways to help people, giving away blood, giving away all different kind of things. And I was there, and you're looking at the movie saying, why is he doing that? Why is he just, almost preparing like he's going to die? So anyhow, he essentially was going to die. Spoiler alert. He was going to die in the movie. And he said this powerful line. They literally said, scientists worked out that before you die, you are at a certain weight. And when you die, you lose weight by 7 pounds. So 7 pounds then becomes the weight of what your conscious energy is, because that's what leaves the body. There's a weight loss of 7 pounds, which is your essence essentially leaving your body. Now, there's a whole thing. I do a whole class on death where we explain about how when someone is about to die, a month or so before, they start telling you about how they started seeing people. They
Oh,
started seeing old friends. This person came along to visit me today. That person came along and visit me today. All of a sudden, their ancestors are coming, or people in the other dimension are coming to meet them. And you're looking at them like, you're crazy. What's wrong with you? Why is it that all these different, you're saying that you're seeing these people, and people get scared saying, oh God, they're losing it. They're crazy. No, the other side is coming for them to prepare them for the journey that they're going to go on. So when they travel, they're there. Their mind is still in their body for about an hour at least. That's why you'll say leave them alone, because even though they've transitioned, their heart has stopped, their blood is still in their brain, their consciousness is still there. They're hearing everyone crying, they're hearing everyone wailing around them, and it's disturbing to them because they can't move. That's why they almost say leave them in different care homes and different places. Let their spirit leave. Let their spirit go back to the dimension of the ancestors of where they came. And then what is left is just the body. The consciousness is left. It's normally about an hour, can be longer sometimes, that the consciousness is still in the body after what we clinically call death.
interesting.
So
Yeah,
so that whole 7 pounds, that whole thing, yeah, that's what's transpiring. That's what's taking place when essentially you claim to be have died. You've never died. You're an immortal. You cannot die. All that can end is your story, your capacity to live in this dimension as a physical being. That's all. And in honesty, we could go into that's not even true because you're
yeah,
not, you don't even when you see yourself, you're still seeing only a hologram you've created in your mind. You don't see yourself, you just see a creation of the light that you're broadcasting. That's when you start getting into the deeper, sort of more quantum physics or quantum spirituality of what is taking place. This is the hardest thing, James. It's known, but most people are still asking you to pray or to do this or to do that. And that's going to fix you instead of getting underneath who
yeah,
are you? What are you? And how are you doing what you're doing?
yeah. Interesting. It is. It's people, like I say, people are just looking too much outside themselves. Instead of looking deep within inside themselves. What is your strengths? What level can you take things to yourself? And that's a true power of yourself, your true creator within yourself to be able to create your reality. And it's not spookism, some people refer to as like it's spookism when you talk about anything like that. A lot of people just don't understand. Even like Western science, they could classify certain things. If they seen you talking to a tree, for example, they'd be like, "What are you doing?" So
Yeah,
it
you know,
is.
science is a funny thing because
Yeah,
there's the science we're taught at school, then there's the cutting edge science.
yeah,
And the cutting edge science knows that plants, because people speak of being vegan, eating plants seem to be okay, plant meat and things like that. But the science has shown that when the plant sees humans coming, they're cool. But when they can feel the frequency of the intent of the human being that it's about to kill them, the plants actually start making noise. They've got machines to show you that the plants are scared that their children are going to be taken just for consumption.
yeah,
We would then tell ourselves, oh no, the plant created all those seeds and created all those plants for us to just come and consume them. Which creature creates its children for anyone to come and eat?
yeah. That's it. People forget, even though it's one thing about like people who are vegan, for example, and don't like to eat animals, not just because of they don't want to eat it for pleasure. Maybe it could be like cruelty to animals. At the same time, it could be a plant-based diet, and also hitting the plant. So
Eat the plants.
yeah,
Yeah, and honestly, I don't judge you. Do what you like because
yeah,
there's nothing. Look, in order to eat on this planet, something must die.
that's right.
It's a hard, cold truth, but something must die. If
Yeah,
it be a plant, if it be an animal, if it be a carrot, something had to die in order for you to consume food. So the religious premises may say, oh no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're killing this, you're killing that. Like it's choosing what can die and what can't die
Yeah.
without you having any guilt towards it. If I'm eating a chicken, I'm not feeling bad and say, oh, poor chicken. I'm
No,
just eating the chicken. But the
that's
parent of the chicken is
yeah.
sitting there like, wow, they just consume my child without a thought.
Yeah, that's right. That it is. It's survival of the fittest.
Well, yeah, it would
No,
appear
animal will eat you if it's necessary. If it's hungry, it's going to eat you. What I mean? So
that's it. The
it
old joke,
is.
the lion doesn't pray before it consumes you.
And when you die anyway, if you look at like when people died and outside, like the vultures are coming to eat you. But
Exactly.
so everything is eating on everything.
Everything is eating on everything.
Yeah. The lion could be the king of the jungle, but when that's dead, what's eating it? You know?
Something will come and eat it. And if it's not another animal, it'll be the bacteria.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be insects will come and eat it from the inside out.
So we all feed off each other.
Everything feeds off each other. And we
Yeah.
just have judgments on what we can feed off, or someone has given us judgments, like it makes a difference.
Yeah. One last question if I could.
Go ahead, whatever you want.
Yeah. Dreams,
Whoa.
dreams,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or nightmares, whatever you want to call
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
any of them.
It's
How do you view dreams from what you studied and nightmares as well?
okay. Well, for us, um, your body needs to sleep. Your consciousness does not. So as soon as you close your eyes, your consciousness, we say, travels back to your soul. And at your soul, there are all the different versions, all the different avatars of you occupying different dimensions, different places, parallel lives. You essentially go back and go into one of your avatars. If you notice that when you're dreaming, very rarely do you see your own body. You never
Yeah.
see yourself exactly. Usually you're like a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
You're like eyes. You're like here, where we're looking at the world and our body is part of what we think belongs to us, but we're really observers. We're taking the image and seeing it as ourselves. So when you apparently go what we call dreaming, we call traveling into the different avatars of yourself so you can see, because when you daydream, yeah, you daydream and another version of you is looking through your eyes whilst you're daydreaming. You're never shut down. You're always basically you're asleep, but your consciousness is traveling. So in my appreciation of the concept, you're not dreaming, you're just going into your different avatars, looking at all the different lifetimes that you're living in different places, so that your consciousness is always learning. It's never not. You're only here to basically understand the consciousness of who you are. Your body is just a vehicle, the old car, the new car, whatever car. The trick was to get you to believe that you are only the body. That way, if I label your body, then I can control by using that label how you feel towards yourself. If I said all these people are this way, these people now, if that story is spread to the whole world, everyone looks at that person from the way they've been described. And when they get to know you, they say, oh, yeah, you're not like what people say. You're not, because essentially people want to use the concept of you and say, okay, well, I can say what I like. And everyone else is going to be primed in their memory to see you from that perspective. So our dreams are our journeys. We travel into different avatars in different dimensions. We look at the different places, spaces. We're like eyes of the wall on these different worlds. Some of the dreams, people like to say, yes, it's you just thinking through your thoughts and you're there creating a sort of holographic movie in order to see that. But in my dreams, I've seen people that I've never seen here.
Yeah.
I've been to places that I've never been in this dimension. I've gone through so many different things, whole movies. Don't you wish you could remember your dreams? You could write full-scale blockbuster movies, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You say, wow, this happened. Wow, that happened. Wow, this happened. But the problem is the dimension that you're in, your consciousness can't take the data or the light form from or the light information in that world and bring it into your memory in this world. That's why as soon as you come back here, the memory starts to fade. Yeah, you cannot process the data or the way in which you created that world. You can't transfer it to this world. It's a different wavelength, it's a different dimension, and both of them don't, how do you say, you can't see that dimension whilst you're here,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
vice versa. So essentially, it fades because you can't hold on to the memory because it wasn't meant for this dimension.
So, nightmares now, I mean, you could put them similar to it's a dream, but at the same time, is that more added like, well, a trauma maybe that could be going
It,
on in someone's life, or there could be like a warning to something
you
bad's
got a
going to
couple of
happen or
things.
something?
First thing, mares, nightmares, were energies that used to come and sleep with you and have sex with you whilst you was asleep. The incubus and the succubus, one's male, one's females, and they were called the mares. They were the ones. That's why I was always told, don't have sex in your dreams. You don't know what energy you're having sex with and what energy is taking your energy whilst you're participating in that. Nightmares are also going to be a judgment because some people's nightmares are not other people's nightmares. I'm not afraid of anything unless someone that I love is being hurt. And
Yeah,
I don't have the capacity to be able to defend them in that situation, or someone that I love is in a situation, or someone I relate to and say, okay, because the irony of life is in this life, you'll go to another life and you will see the same people just in different forms. There's a thing that we do when we say, all right, you have this bad relationship with someone. Let's go to the past life where both of you knew each other and see why that is the case. So you'll go to that past life and you can have a position where the roles reverse. You're now the male and they're now the female, or vice versa. So you can then say, oh, that's them. And they're a different gender, but you recognize them because you understand each other by energy. So again, this is
yeah.
no fantasy or spookism. This is the science of what your mind does all the time, every night.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's the only thing I refer to as a
yeah,
nightmare.
an interesting one. It's only happened to me about twice in my life. It's like you're almost paralyzed in your sleep. And what I
Yes,
mean by
paralysis.
paralyzed, it's like I remember like it's
Yeah,
like being dragged across the
yeah.
floor or something. But in your sleep, normally, you can move, whatever, but for some reason I couldn't. And
Yeah,
it's like you're dying to wake up. You're dying to wake up. So the minute you wake up, it's like, well, it's gone now. All of a sudden, like,
it's we call it sleep paralysis. You're trapped between worlds.
yeah,
Your consciousness hasn't come and fully integrated into your body yet. So you're aware of everything taking place, but you can't move. You're like, I've heard of women being raped, men being raped, all different kind of things that take place in that state where you're unable to do anything, and various energies that exist in dimensions around you that are in that middle place are able to come and touch the idea of who you think you are. So
yeah,
it's a very disconcerting thing. And a lot of people there's various oils that we sell that can help clear that away. You know, wash the bed, wash this, wash the walls in a certain way. And then those energies in that room won't come and attack you in that way anymore.
right. Interesting. Very interesting discussion today. Really enjoyed it. It's always an interesting discussion. We go deep on
Thank
things
you.
like that. Not many can go too deep. So appreciate you for today anyway.
Yes,
You know,
James, anytime, my friend, just call me and I'll be happy to come in. I'm grateful for people like yourself because at least you're trying and you're trying to speak to people that not always are heard because they're drowned by the noise. You know what it's like? You could put something on social media that is deep and meaningful, and not to trivialize it, but a lady can just put her face and she'll smash you for likes. You'll never be able to compete
Oh
or
yeah,
switch to her side. I don't want to, you know, bespeak anyone, but essentially, yeah. And she's going to get 10 times more the publicity that you would get for writing some meaningful piece.
yeah.
How do you say? We don't want to pay for what we need, we pay for what we want.
That's it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's it.
interesting discussion anyway, and
No worries, James.
it's about keep putting the messages out there, and it's
Well,
not
I,
temporary. It's about continuing the mission because there's too many lost people out there.
uh,
Many people
they,
lost,
they were
all in the
deliberately,
own bubble, in their own
they,
bubble.
but James, they're not at fault. They were deliberately led into that. In order
Yeah,
to succeed, others must fail. In order for you to succeed, you have to give up part of yourself to those people that control the world. So therefore, the further you move up, the less that you are yourself,
yeah,
because you have to compromise to the point where you don't recognize yourself anymore.
yeah. Well, I give thanks, Edison, anyway.
Problem, friend, anytime, anytime. Yeah.
This is James Diboe, Discovering, dedicated to original peoples, as always. We'll do this again another time because we've got many other topics to discuss.
So many.
This is quite spontaneous. I didn't even call you today, or we didn't arrange to speak about anything.
No, nothing. Um, Look, I do this all the time, so
Yeah,
I'm very primed and ready because, like I say, many of the subjects we want to tell people, but we can't always get them into a space. And like I say, social media has to be designed in and packaged in a certain way. Otherwise, people's minds can't take it in. They're looking for the flash, they're looking for the lights, they're looking for the dopamine that they get from the images that they see. So there's so much that we want to share and have people sort of take back control of who they are. So yeah,
well,
just look, power to it, man.
yeah.
Power to you. It's really good.
I'm gonna call this discussion straight from the dome because it's
Call it, and
totally
then I will put it.
unrehearsed, no rehearsed at all. Like not even the. This is what we're gonna talk about today. Just so the viewers know that it's just like it's creativity. It's right side of the brain completely.
100% because the whole time you're listening, you're not in your body.
Yeah,
In that right brain of part of your mind, continuously creating the images. And something else I wanted to say as well, that more often than not, whenever you go into the right side of your brain, you're in a trance. That's why when
interesting.
you're talking to people and you see them look distant, it's because they are in the right side of their brain processing in their optical cortex, generating some sort of imagination, trying to visualize what it is that you're saying. So 9 out of 10 people, you see them either walking around in a creative trance or in a fear trance.
Yeah,
So as soon as they have a thought that they're scared, they create a trance. And now they're stuck in that trance where they're irritated, they're annoyed, they're whatever. And they're no longer able to look for any sort of solution because they've cut off the reasoning part of their mind and they're stuck out to say, I've got to hit you, I've got to hurt you, I've got to put you down, I've got to defend myself, not realizing that every conversation should be a furtherment of both of your understanding of that situation. We're
yeah,
only should be talking to improve, not to win. Who do you win against? You can't win against your friend. You can't win against your partner because in them losing, you will eventually lose them. So it's,
yeah. That's it. Everything balance.
has to,
You
has to.
know, my art. But anyway, I give thanks, my brother, and we'll
No
definitely
worries.